Hello and welcome to episode 129 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. James and Jake here for you next week. That's going to change slightly this week, sorry. It's going to change slightly next week because I'm very busy this week. What a shock, eh, Jake? But how have your week been, mate?
Shock horror. Well, last week we were just a sick house. Everyone got ill. I got ill. McKenna got ill. The Mythic got ill. It was just an absolute nightmare. And I've got to go back next week, is it? Or the week after to... Oh, it's when we've got the Carabao Cup game. I've got to go back to hospital to go at the baby remeasure because it was a pain in the backside and wouldn't want to move. It was too comfy. So we're in very much getting things done now in the household. Like, we've managed to do really well with some Amazon Prime deals on the last little bit if we need baby stuff. But I've finally shifted into that headspace of you're going to have another one. So yeah, this is easy. I've gone from that, I'm having another one. Panic. I've gone into the, she's 6 in December. She'll want to help. It's going to be fine. It's going to be easy. But you've got to go through that mental head shift base kind of thing.
Yeah. It's just the fact that you use the words "it's going to be easy." I'm like,
it should be easier.
Should be. It's. Do you know what the word you're looking for, Jake? It will be manageable.
That's the word I'm looking for. Come on, we know I don't do words, and I
but
do.
The fact
channel.
That you just used the word "easy" was tempting fate a little bit too much. I was like,
but it should be a little bit easier than having them like 2 and say 1 kind of thing. The A gap's going to be perfect. So we jump in that mindset and pre-ordered the new EA Football Club because I'm an idiot. Because I like to play it and it's going to be fun.
That's a bit of a tangent.
To be fair, I'm getting all the last little big purchases I can do, like August time is like the last little bit of money I'm ever going to have for myself. So everything getting done then, and then all it's done and dusted. How's your week been? And how did Tramlines go?
The Tramlines weekend was fun. We were going to do the podcast yesterday, but I'm the responsible adult now, and I went on vocal rest after the day after because I wasn't a responsible adult on Sunday in terms of vocally and stuff like that. We threw in a cover that I knew I'd want to scream rather than sing, so that's what I did. I knew I was going to do a bit of a battering on my vocal, and from somebody who is a trained vocalist, you know what you're doing, and you still go, but it sounds nice, so I'm just going to do it. And then
you get in the moment, don't you?
Yeah,
you get in that moment.
We were going to do the podcast yesterday, but I kind of like looked at it and went, I shouldn't really be speaking for an hour. It's not something that is a good idea. So yes, I'm still actually speaking now because I realised I've not spoken much. I've got quite a deep voice.
Last week.
Yeah, I've got quite a raspy voice. It sounds like I've been on 40 a day at the minute. But
sounds like you're just about to go do a really good country album.
It's just one of those things. We put the set together really quickly, and it didn't sound like it, which was really nice. Really nice to be able to play that. It's the first time we'd ever played that EP fully. Ever, actually. I'd never played any of those songs because I wrote them. I finished them and released them during lockdown. Well, I think we played Electricity once.
Weren't they your lockdown sessions?
Yeah, I think we played one of the tracks called Electricity once, but I've never played it as like a full band. So getting them in as a band, the way it sort of sounded, it worked. We could use some... We even used sort of like the weight in synths and stuff like that, and we messed around with tracking for that so we could play as a band but have the synths, because there's about 8 different synths going off in that song. So I stripped some of them out and had them going through as well, just to, because it's more of a sort of, it's more of a vibe of that one rather than just our usual sort of.
Are you getting the urge? I get the feeling you're getting the urge to write again.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. You got that look that says, I want to start recording things again. I'm happy. I enjoyed that too much.
It was one of those things where it was like, The rehearsal process with these lads has been really fun as well. Like the new lads that have come out with me, I've worked with a couple of them, the colleagues, and another one is Soph's best friend's fiance. So we sort of like just all started talking music once while we were talking about it at work, and then obviously with the other guy we just spoke about it at a gathering, and we were like, yeah, I'll tell you what, there's some talks about me doing a tramline show. Let's see how it let's get all together then and see what happens. So we had 2 rehearsals in the run up, and just because we were all trained musicians, we got in the room and it was like, oh, we know what we're doing now. It's not like when you're 18 and you're throwing it's like, oh, that doesn't sound very good. For the first time, I actually invested in an in-ear system so I can actually sing in tune, because the one problem I always had is most of my stage work and stuff is stripped back, and I'm used to being able to hear myself quite well and pitch, and I got so reliant on that. My internal pitching, I'm not going to lie, is not as good as it should be, and it's just the way it's always worked. I've always struggled against the band, so being able to have my feed directly, that was the best. We're talking about Amazon Prime deals. That was the best Amazon Prime Day investment I've ever made, because I can genuinely hear my vocal now and keep relatively in tune. So I think that's what was really letting the band down before. And seeing the gig all sort of shape out and the set list shape out and come together like that, I was like, this could work. So yeah, we just started having some more conversations about doing it again. Probably nothing this year sort of thing, but coming up with more of a sort of plan for it and having a bit more fun with it.
You can tell you enjoyed it because the smile on your face says it all. It's like you're doing what you love, kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that's really important in a year where you had a bit of a struggle this year, and just going back to what you know and what you enjoy. I think that's really good to see, dude, and I'm happy for you.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm also going through a move, but we'll talk about that. So I'm moving house, and that's all happened this week. So,
so he's going to be busy again, but we won't hear about it next week. He's not here.
Yeah, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of that going in. It's not happening just yet, but I'm changing roles in my job as well. So kind of like I'm doing different things. Moving on up, Jake, is the technical thing, but it's moving on up, but also moving to a new area to move on up. But I was going to move to this area anyway, which is kind of went for the moving and up. You
managed to have it fall into place all at the same time in the perfect way, which is always
exactly nicer. Yeah, because to be honest, I was taking a massive risk. I knew I was going to move probably because I was just getting to the point where I was sort of stuck in limbo, and I needed an end goal for that, really.
You were doing way too many miles on a weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't.
For what you already do during the week.
Yeah, it was just a case of, it was all of that. It was sort of like, because obviously Soph, new position, that sort of thing. We'd have moved last year, but we decided to give it a year and see if it worked out in this new position, and it was something that we enjoyed the area sort of thing. So yeah, it became a little bit much in terms of the travel and that, and it was just and I noticed myself, you know, when I edit the podcast, you can tell when I've sounded too tired one morning or something like that. So, but it's also, I had a load of stuff on this year. It wasn't even just that. There was a load of stuff that cropped up, but yes, as you said, onwards and upwards, that is going to be the motto from now on. It was quite quiet in the Wednesday scene though this week, which I appreciated, because I was feeling like I would, because I've been making videos again, obviously, and that's something I still want to do. But then when nothing really happened this week, I was like, well, Jake's going to be scraping the barrel, so I'm not even going to bother.
I was very much scraping the barrel with kind of what I was looking for this week. Last week, it was weird. It was like, it was either something was going to happen, it was all going to come fast, or it's all going to happen this week. And I think it's the latter. It's all going to happen this week. And I'll just mention it now. I found Sunday hilarious on Twitter, just watching people go, he walked. And then on the Monday, it's like we've added more people. So that doesn't make sense.
Don't you mean X? It's not Twitter anymore.
Oh, God, yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Elon decided to be
what a way
idiot.
to kill brand identity, eh? Like,
yep.
we literally call their posts on their tweets. That's a legitimate thing that everybody says, and you're just getting rid of it. Just no. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure. It's just a weird one because it's like, what if you even Google it? You Google
People have been Googling it, and it's not been coming up what they want.
Yeah, especially if you want to search for a video on the platform. Oh dear.
Can you imagine going into
don't even like say it because
you're about to do a presentation, and I'm going to show you this video on X, and then it's sort of like, not
that one, not that one. Oh dear. But yes, Sheffield Wednesday signed a player this week, so we do have something. There's quite a bit to talk about, to be fair, in this episode. So
shall we do housekeeping first?
Yes, there are memberships available below. Talking Wednesday Extras, yes, they're a little bit backlogged at the minute. The whole promotion, the whole sackings, the whole saga that has unfolded. By the end of August, we will have caught up with the backlog, even if I have to work the team like slaves, basically. If we have to just like chain ourselves to the PC and not leave, we will.
Until we got it done.
We will get it sorted, yes. Because we already do have one I'm currently editing. It's just been one of them things. Nobody said anything, by the way, either, so thank you for that. But it's it is on my mind that we need to sort that out. But yes, the Discord is also available. I don't know where to find currently the FPL code. I will share it all. Currently, I've got the thing where it says the league is regenerating from last year. So as soon as it regenerates and I can have the code again because it disappeared, I will give you the code if you want to join that. And you can leave us nice reviews on audio services. Please do that. Podchaser, all the likes. So, Sheffield Wednesday have played some preseason matches in Spain. Do you want to talk us through these, Jake?
Well,
because you watched them.
The first one
I didn't. I'm not going to lie, so it's all on you.
The first one was a 0-0 draw, and considering the temperatures, and they had a double session beforehand, they had a session Monday and then a session on the Tuesday. I don't mind a 0-0 draw. It's all about minutes. I've always said Wednesday, when we have a rubbish pre-season, we normally have a very good season. When we have a good pre-season, it's a naff season. So at this moment in time, I wouldn't take any of the pre-season games apart from it being minutes in the legs and learning what we may see something. We've seen the likes of, say, Adatorum. We've seen the likes of Charles look good. We've seen the youth look very good indeed. And I think at the time of last week when these were happening, we were like, right, we really do need some players, but we do have some youth players who could step up if need be. Now, you go on to that Friday game, we got absolutely battered. It was horrible. It was just a lovely wonder goal to start off with, and it just didn't get any better. And again, people have gone, well, the heat is the same for them. It's a Spanish club that are used to playing in hot weather. You put the likes of Barry Bannon and co in that position, who's already said at the playoffs, his leg turned to jelly if the temperature goes above a certain temperature. I think a lot of it was just about trying to sort it out. The only thing about the game at the end on Friday with the worrying comments that Sisco turned around and said, we're not ready. We're not ready at all. And
that was the one thing I was potentially going to make a video on, because a manager saying that is quite concerning.
Yeah. And it was worrying because him saying we're not ready. But again, if you actually think about it, he's only been in the job 3 weeks. So you're not going to get much from 3 weeks.
I don't think he's wrong, though.
He's not wrong. No, he's not.
I'll be honest, mate. There's my optimism for the season and the fact that, you know, we might just manage it. And also it's starting to come into a thing of, what are we doing?
I've got just survived this season at the minute. Like,
I don't know if we're strong enough to do that.
I won't put a prediction until we finish the transfer market. because this transfer market could change it all. But with what we're not bringing in, it doesn't fill you with much yet. But that could change in like a couple of weeks' time.
We're not, you know, the thing, what I will say, you talk about pre-season being about minutes and systems and stuff like that, and fitness. The one thing I will say is, the one thing I am seeing is that we are not scoring goals still.
No. And this is an issue that's been an issue for a while. We're making the chances, we just can't finish them. The final third has been an issue with this squad probably since Gary Monk.
Even though we scored loads of goals last season, it didn't feel like it. But
but you know what I mean? But think about how many chances we would take, yet we've only scored one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're making 15 chances, you want at least 4 goals.
It's clinical nature. Got to get better at it. It's gonna be, especially if we are playing more of an expansive an attacking system.
Yeah.
We need to actually benefit from that, because our defense is going to be left a little bit asking for trouble. So it's pre-season, and it's still pre-season. I will say, actually, the next time you will see me, probably in a live context or a Wednesday context specifically, will be the live stream for Southampton, because if you two are doing the podcast next week, before I jump on the podcast the following week, there will be that match, won't they? Looking at dates, that should be how it works out.
Yeah, that's the week of the game, innit? Yeah.
So there will be, keep an eye on. We haven't quite worked out how we're going to do it. If we're going to do Jake doing some build up or some debrief, he'll be definitely doing a debrief the day after. Usually, that's how it works, sort of thing. But keep an eye out for schedules on this. I will be doing a watch along there, because it's something that we've said for a while we want to get back to doing that sort of thing. And I didn't have enough time last season, but this season I think we'll go for it a little bit there. So Southampton, hopefully I'm not watching it like this, going, oh no, we're going down.
Again, though, if we do what to Southampton, remember, it's first game of the season, a lot could change. I think the thing is, for the people who are like going, we're not doing anything, there's no... I think the players coming in, but I'm at the theory there's a completely new bloody list. And we're working on a brand new list. And then you got to think that list that Darren Moore gave with 2-3 months worth of work. And now you've got a new manager with a new list, with a new way of playing. And I think that's what's going to take the build-up. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of players come in who have worked with him before, just for the time being, just to get it all sorted. I think that makes sense.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You need it.
We were talking about Andy Dallas on the last podcast. He's just gone to Barnsley.
So
I think that's probably a better level for him because we were talking about, like, it's quite a jump to the Championship. It's still quite a jump to League One, but it's probably better than putting the pressure on him here. But again, it's sort of like, how strong was the interest in him from our end then? Is it one of those situations where we do seem to be getting our targets, but it's... I do feel like the players that we're bringing in do fit more to our manager, actually.
Yeah.
So... I say players bringing in, we've brought one player, but the names that are coming around now, they're all from sort of like the similar systems and similar, when was the last time we were linked with Spanish players, and now we're linked with like 3? Brazilian player. Yeah, well, exactly.
If you remember with Carlos, it's all like Portuguese players, now it's all Spanish players. It makes sense. And the thing is, I still think we're going to be quite busy this week, but also remember that with the being busy, I reckon if we get 3 players in, it's a better start than last week. We've already got 1 in. If we can get another 3 in, fantastic. We know we need another probably 2 or 3 after that.
I reckon we're signing someone today. The day of this recording this podcast. I bet this podcast is possibly late, and it'll be a story we're talking about later on. But yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go into the news. So we're going to start with a couple of sad stories this week. We're going to read through these. I'll let Jake add any comments on them. But we we will try not, because it's two sad things that have happened at a time. We need to give them their time, but we also don't want to go too much around it and make people feel really mellow. Is mellow the word? No, mellow's not the word. Melancholy. That's the one. That's the one I was looking for. We basically don't want to drag anyone down.
No.
To those debts, because two bad things happening at a time can be quite a shock, and I can see that some people, especially, have taken this news quite hard. So, this is from the Wednesday website. Sheffield Wednesday are deeply saddened by the passing of Trevor Francis. He died on Monday morning in Spain, aged 69. Francis is an iconic figure at Hillsborough, having played for and managed the club. After a glittering career taking in Birmingham City, Nottingham Forest, Manchester City, Sampdoria, Atlanta, Rangers and QPR, the gifted forward joined Wednesday for the final chapter of his playing days in 1990. To say Tricky Trev made an S6 impact would be an understatement. Time and again, he entered proceedings from the bench to almost single-handedly turn games on their head. Making 38 starts and 51 appearances as a substitute, he was a key figure in our promotion back to the top tier in 1990-91 and League Cup success of the same season. The departure of manager Ron Atkinson opened the door for Francis to take the reins in June 1991. During his first season in the hot seat, he led the Owls to a third-place finish in the old Division 1 and both domestic cup finals the following year, when Wednesday were twice agonisingly edged out by Arsenal. Francis left Hillsborough in May 1995, leaving an indelible mark on the club's history. Prior to Wednesday, of course, he was widely acclaimed as the finest footballer of his generation, becoming the first £1 million British player after leaving Birmingham for Forest. He helped the Reds to successive European Cup final triumphs in 1979 against Malmo, in which he scored the winning goal, and 1980 when Forest beat Hamburg. On the international stage, Francis posted 52 caps for England. Our thoughts are with Trevor's family and friends at this incredibly difficult time. Yes, so all our thoughts, obviously, with his family and friends too, here at Talking Wednesday. A sad one, this. I'm going to give it to you, Jake, to speak a little bit more, because I think it's more impactful for somebody who would have seen it. I'll hand this one over to you.
He was an incredible player. He really was a good player, but the one thing as well, you get really good players, but the one thing that you also got, he was just an incredible human being. He would have time for fans. He would go and speak to people. If people wrote letters to the club, he'd handwrite letters back to them and just be really approachable. And I think you look at his career, he never really had a bad word to say about anyone. He just got on with the job and always did very well. And for me, this is the two that we're talking has hit my family a lot harder as well, because my uncle's a Nottingham Forest fan, and he was at those games in Europe for Forest. And we spoke last night how shocking it was that, I'm going to speak about the other person that passed away in a minute, but how both are the same kind of era, manager and player, and on the same day, this happens. And it's like, he was very much someone who understood the game, had a lot of time for people, and when he spoke about the game or spoke to you, you listened, because he had so much knowledge and information. And even as he was getting older, people said his appetite for the game was just still there. And I think that's credit to him as a human being. And I think it's a very sad day, sad week. And it's hard. It's hard when you have these kind of people you've watched growing up and then suddenly they're not there anymore. It's weird. It's a weird feeling.
No, I completely understand what you're saying there in terms of icons and losing icons. It's one of those. It's always an interesting one, because you've got those memories tied, haven't you? And it affects such a wider community. So it is a massive loss to the fan base and other fan bases, and of course his family and friends. And sadly, you did say there that we we were going to speak of another passing, and this is also from the Wednesday website. It's Chris Bart-Williams. So Sheffield Wednesday are deeply saddened by the passing of our former player Chris Bart-Williams. Bart-Williams died in America, aged just 49. The prodigiously talented midfielder joined the Owls in 1991 after bursting onto the scene as a teenager with Leyton Orient, and went on to become an immensely popular performer in S6. Bartman made 156 appearances for Wednesday across 4 years at the club, providing a raft of standout moments, not least the Premier League hat-trick against Southampton in April 1993. The Sierra Leone product player played a major part in the Owls' success stories of the early 1990s, helping his side to a seventh-placed top-tier finish in 1993, and both the League Cup and FA Cup finals of the same year. Bart-Williams moved to Nottingham Forest in 1995 for £2.5 million and proved a big hit at the City Ground, posting 230 appearances for the Reds. He went on to play for Charlton Athletic, Ipswich Town, Apoel FC in Cyprus, and Maltese outfit Marseloc before retiring in 2006. Bart-Williams also represented England on the international stage at under-19, under-21 and B-level. More recently, he plied his trade in the USA as a coach and mentor, running the CBW Soccer Elite. Bart-Williams' untimely passing mirrors that of his manager at Hillsborough, Trevor Francis, who also died on this, one of the darkest days in our long history. Our thoughts are with Chris and Trevor's families and friends at this devastating time. Again, I'll hand this on over to you, Jake. It didn't feel right for me to comment on my pronunciation during this sort of thing, but obviously, we know I'm not great with that. But read it was as it was, and again, our families with Chris Bartman's thoughts with his family and friends there. Hand this one over to you, Jake.
This one came completely out the blue. Friend of the channel, Door on Tour, I actually spoke to him about it because he was very, very close to Chris. Had him on his channel a couple of times, and speaking to him, he was very much like, I first saw it from Door, then did some digging, and then Door actually did confirm that it had happened. And it's a very sad one, this, because he was doing such good work in America, getting youngsters into football, wanting them to play football. He's making them not join like the football in their in terms of the NFL, but doing the soccer academies. And the fact that he was doing so much good work over there shows how much passion he still had for the game, kind of thing. And I think you get a lot of players who go to America to do academies and stuff like that, because you can get some really good talents over there if they're taught properly. And Bart-Williams must have been an absolute diamond to learn off, because he had such a opening smile. As soon as he opened his mouth or said something and smiled, it lit up a room. He was just such a nice bloke. I met him twice, and he was just so lovely and understanding and had a time for you. And one of the times I met him, he was in a rush. I said, "Oh, hey Chris, how you doing?" Saw the Wednesday shirt, and he stood for 20 minutes and had a conversation with me, and he was in a rush. I was like, "Mate, you've been saying for the last 5 minutes you need to go. You can go, you know. It's your time." It's like he had.
So
he
you were that person
time.
that he just felt like he couldn't be rude to, even though you probably needed to shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Best
and
people.
He was just absolutely lovely. And I think this one we were already feeling really flat and deflated last night because of Trevor. And then this trickling around 9 o'clock and people going, "Oh, it's not." And the fact that it's manager and player as well as that team. You read what Mark Bright wrote, and it's like you got someone who's there just lost Trevor Francis, who was his manager, and then teammate. And that generation of players right now must feel awful, because to lose two people who you know really well on one day can't be easy. So if I'll put it out there to everyone, don't mourn this one on your own. Reach out to people if you're struggling, because yes, for some people, it's just footballers, but for us, there are icons, there are legends, there are people we've watched who brought us much joy. So if you're struggling to deal with the passing of both, reach out to someone and don't try and do it on your own.
No, that's well said, because everyone has different levels of connections with different things, and things mean different things to different people. So, well said, Jake, there. I don't really have anything of value to add. So all I will say is I will just reaffirm our thoughts both with Trevor and Chris's families. Yeah. All of us from Talking Wednesday there. Right. Let's move on to... We're still in the news.
Yep.
But more positive news. Sheffield Wednesday have signed Juan Delgado. Chilean international Juan Delgado has joined Wednesday from Portuguese side Pacos de Ferreira. The South American is reunited with Owls manager Chisco. Is it Chisco? It's Chisco, isn't it? I should get this. It's 3 podcasts of saying it now.
I'm so glad you're reading this article, because I'm just looking at all these pronunciations going, I would be screwed.
Strap in. After the two forged ties at Spanish club Gimnastic de Tarragona, Chisco managed Gimnastic when Delgado was on the books in 2016. Primarily a right back, Delgado can also operate further up the field in a wing back role. The 30-year-old began his career with Chilean giants Colo-Colo, whom he helped to the 2014 league title, before going on to represent Gimnastic CD Tondela in Portugal on loan. Mexican side Necaxa and Pacos de Ferreira. He broke into the Chile international setup during the early part of his career at under-20 level and has since earned 13 caps for the senior team. After making his debut against Mexico in 2014, Delgado notched his first international goal facing Haiti 3 days later. He featured in all 3 of Chile's friendlies encounters this summer against Cuba, Dominican Republic and Bolivia. With over 300 domestic appearances to his name, Delgado brings significant experience to Chisco's back line ahead of our upcoming championship campaign. Welcome to Wednesday, Juan. I think it's going to be a theme this season, Jake, of testing. We've never had this on this podcast before. Testing us out with all the pronunciations. But there we go. What do you think to this one?
I actually think this is actually quite a clever signing. And just because it's someone Sicko worked with before, and because you've worked with him before, I think you're going to see a lot of these happen, where it's someone who worked with him before, it's easier to get them in the door because he knows who they are, it's already a person that he already can figure out and help Chansiri do a deal with and sort out. Now, yes, a lot of people have already gone, oh, he's 30, we don't need any more 30-year-olds. At this moment in time, we're not in any position to turn our nose up at any player. As of right now, we need to all the players we can get. And
Jordan
if he's going to come in,
no.
and if he's going to come in and improve it and already know how the gaffer plays and know what he's doing, all for it. I've seen the so-called, I'm doing it in air quotes, clips on YouTube of him, and he looked quite tricky and he looked like he can get a good cross into the box. YouTube clips and highlights don't mean the same thing as what happens. Now, someone did make a good point. What does this mean for Liam Palmer? Now, I think
he's going in the midfield anyway.
I think, exactly.
And I also think it's a case of Jack Hunt left.
Yep.
We didn't have another right back.
No.
This player is a right back who can play all the way along that right wing, apparently, because, weirdly, we'll do his FIFA card as we always do. He's a right winger on FIFA, 69 rated silver, 76 pace, 63 shooting, 64 passing, 72 dribbling, 60 defending, 66 physical. Now, FIFA's obviously sometimes a little bit lazy with these sort of things, but if he plays that far up the pitch, if he is one of those attacking fullbacks, we might go for that a little bit more. Does Palmer start there? Does Delgado start in the matches where Palmer's joining midfield and we've got a bit more defensive cover maybe?
Who knows?
Does he? Because I don't want him to play as a centre-back, but does Palmer play centre-back in some situations where how we shaping this one up is going to be the time. But we had one right back at the club. This makes sense.
Yeah. So far, we signed a left back and a right back.
Yes. I mean, I know Iorfa's technically was a right back, wasn't he? But he's not anymore. He doesn't play as a right back. But it's one of those things where it would be the ideal situation. You bring in a younger player to nurture, in that right back position, not two older players. But
unless we've already got that in the academy and we're already going to have that.
Yeah, and the academy's sparking a different debate in itself, in it at the minute again.
Yeah.
But I think this is a clever move, because the thing is, we're not moving fast enough.
No.
Players that know the manager and know how he wants to play going to fit in. We know it's not going to probably be an atmosphere problem. It's gonna work with the core of the club. It does seem that way. A lot of the players were interested in the players that have got links with the manager himself. So it might be just that case of him having to use his connections at the minute, which does suggest a slightly worrying thing of, we really have been just blindsided by more going. We've not really got a plan. We're not spending much money in certain areas. We just need to make do this season. And I'm not saying this is a make do signing, but it's a signing in a position we need. And at the minute, we need players in there. If you say it looks a bit tricky, I've watched the video as well. I'll take that. I'll take somebody who takes on a man, because Johnson on the other side as well. When he's played wing back, I don't think it's his best position. But Johnson playing further up the field, sort of. Maybe this is an idea of maybe do play him a bit further up as well. He could play further up. He could play behind Palmer, and they could overlap.
And our first Chilean we've ever signed.
Is it?
I think it is our first ever Chilean we signed.
I see.
I think the thing that excites me about it is, one, it's a player in. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw we got a player, oh, thank Christ, this is finally going somewhere. Things are happening. But at the same time, I'm not gonna. Yes, at the start of the season, I said 28 and under was the age group we needed. But right now, I don't think we're in a position where we can say, he's at 30. We have to just deal with what we got, see what happens, and if then, say, come in January, we need more, we can get boosted again, but we need them now.
Yeah, we do. We've got Southampton in less than 2 weeks.
Yep.
The season starts. We need players. Did you see? I know not everyone was in that, but that picture of them as a squad in in Spain, I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
We need players. Don't get me wrong, we've got some quality, but what happens when a couple of them pick up knocks?
Exactly. I think the only thing we've got, which is really handy this season, where we may not pick up a lot of knocks, is the international breaks.
This is just reminding me. Do we know a fee of this, or was he?
No, we don't. All we know is he's a permanent. Now, no fee or no how long he's signed for has come out, and which is interesting. But we're not that kind of club that does how many years we give him players and stuff.
No, but usually it says undisclosed fee or something.
Yeah, nothing's happened here, even though he has left and it's a permanent. So
interesting. We'll see we'll see if that develops, and we'll update you if it does. But yes, a position we need. Keep them coming, please. Wednesday. We have bolstered the coaching staff there. We've added performance manager Miguel Gomila, who'd previously worked with Chisco SD Huesca in La Liga, and he's joined the coaching staff. So more of a backroom team coming round here. I like this. I like seeing a proper coaching, because there's been a lot of stupid Twitter rumours about somebody basically saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Chisco walked, and then everybody else going, oh yeah, well that's going to happen, isn't it? That's how social media can be sometimes, right?
That happened on Sunday, and on Monday we added a performance manager to it. I'm like that. The thing is, he's already been here. He's already been doing the job. I think his issue was they were trying to get a visa sorted for him, and the visa wasn't coming through quick enough, but it's now sorted. And the fact that he's now got his entire backroom set up, I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of a performance manager before, but I'm guessing it's what it says it is. He's going to look at what the things are and how they do. You look at what he's got set up there. A lot of the backroom staff are very much on the conditioning side. So it makes you wonder where you're going. You look at what they were doing in Spain, those players looked knackered. And in the back of my head, we were going, he doesn't know about this pitch. He doesn't know about Middle Road. He doesn't know about this. Careful. But unless they found a way of doing it different, it could be different managers have different ways of training them.
It's also worth mentioning that the players kept saying that it's different in the fact that the way they were training is they were doing... there's 2 sessions, but they're short sessions, and that's different to how they've done it before. So they're like an hour session, and it's intense, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because if you think about the intensity in the games and things like that, you're keeping that level of intensity in training. So I think that's very much how, whenever Xisco basically gets on the training field, I think he wants the players to all be in that headspace of match. This is how we respond. We take training in that regard, and that's...
But could it also be, if it's intense for that hour, does that mean in the end you have a longer recovery period as well, which could help with injuries as well?
Hopefully, yeah. I'll take anything to stop us having as many injuries as we've been having recently.
Cotton wool.
But yeah, let's talk about the academy. So this is from the Star. Quote, concern with Sheffield Wednesday attacker yet to sign Owl's deal. Wednesdayites have got to see a bit of the 18-year-old. We're talking about, just because the tagline didn't have the name in there, is it Pooty? Yeah.
Yep.
Is that how you say it? I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. Just ignore me on that. But basically, as the Star says, his dynamic style and raw pace has been enough to get them excited about the teenager's future. He didn't travel with the Owls to Spain for their warm weather camp over the last week due to documentation issues, and there has still not been any word in his contractual situation despite being offered a new deal almost 3 months ago, according to the club. The attacker, who has also been with Wednesday's academy since he was 13, was talked up by manager Xisco after his performance against Chesterfield earlier this month. However, it remains to be seen if he will sign a maiden professional deal with the club for the season ahead. He was offered the deal at the same time as Jay Glover, Mackenzie Maltby and Cian Flannery, all of whom have had their new contracts since confirmed. It's now just a few weeks until the start of the new season, the 2023-24 campaign, and there's been no word on the sprightly young winger. Wednesday have lost youngsters to other clubs in recent years, with both Isaac Holland and Tony Yogan joining Brentford B during Darren Moore's tenure, and fans will be hoping they aren't about to see another academy talent move on, having shown promise in their youth ranks. So, I am slightly concerned if we keep losing players to the likes of academies coming in and poaching them, but it does say, are the deals okay for the players that don't think they could get into the other academies, and they're not enticing enough for the players that do actually feel it? Are they not? Is there something wrong with the deals?
Yeah. Now, while we were in Spain, he went and had a trial at Brentford.
Yes.
On Friday. Now, a lot of people have gone, oh, so there wasn't a document issue. No, there was a visa issue. That's the reason why he couldn't get over. Because you've got to remember, he's not English. He's Zimbabwean. Zimbabwean? I think that's how you say it. Yeah. Right. Anyway, it was a visa issue. Now, the thing is, if he'd been put a contract in front of him 3 months ago and he's still not signed it, well, you had the wondering what league we were going to be in. You now know we're in the Championship. Then you've had the whole situation with the Darren Moore situation. Because for all we know, Darren Moore might have turned around and said, I'm going to keep you in the academy and not play you. But it looks like if Xisco can sit him down and say, look, I'm going to play you off the bench instead of you going to academy football, it might be worth doing. Now, the thing here is it all depends on what's been offered to him, what people are putting in front of him as well. And the thing is, people said, why have we played him then if he hasn't signed a deal? We hadn't had a choice. He had to play. He had to play because we haven't got the players. This is the problem when a player comes in and he does well in pre-season, he's not signed that contract. You're going to get other clubs looking at him. And he has looked.
Here's my argument with it, because I think you've been very balanced and you've been very fair on the player, but here's the thing. He's had now time to see this manager. He's played him at Chesterfield, and since then, he's not, obviously, documentation, whatever it is, he can't go to the Spain trip, but then you go and have a trial at Brentford. I would be saying, sign that contract or sod off.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm sick of it.
It does say, where's your commitment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign that contract or sod off.
Yeah.
And he'll probably sod off.
Yeah.
because people know that Brentford's academy is better. But in terms of because they don't have an academy system, they've got a reserve team system.
No, they've got an academy now. I believe they put in an academy again. B,
isn't it?
No, I think they put in a new academy in like start of the season.
Right. Okay.
Let me just check. The thing is, if this does keep happening, we have to look into it a lot more. We have to look at how to improve on getting players in.
I think there needs to be. I think the compensation system needs to be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I think for these players that are coming through, there needs to be that. There needs to be, if a Premier League team are going to poach, there needs to be bigger fees, because these nominal sort of up to 300k fees in the Championship, that's not really going to cut it for me. I think if you're going to poach a player, I think there should be a compensation clause where you can agree to let a player go for 300k if you're not going to think he's going to make it. But if you're going to poach the player and the club's against it, I say you do something like 700, 800, because that's a little bit more of a income coming into these clubs. If clubs that come down can have parachute payments and get all the TV money for going up, if you're going to poach the academy talents, it needs to protect the clubs as well.
Yeah, Brentford Football Club had granted a licence to open and operate an academy under the Elite Player Programme plan. The club will initially open an academy for the start of the 2022-23 season. The academy will feed into the club's existing B team, extending the development of young players. So that's what they're doing.
Right. I just don't like it. I don't like...
It's annoying that it keeps happening.
Because it just goes into that vacuum of, as soon as a player does well, they're off.
It shows you that our academy does actually work, though. For the people who say our academy doesn't work, this shows that it probably does work.
No, I don't think it. I disagree. It works in terms of its nurturing and developing, but it doesn't work in terms of its retention and developing it into the squad, Jake.
Yeah, so but when have we ever promoted youth? Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. But
that doesn't come from the academy side. That comes from the club side. When had the club promoted youth? Since Tommy Burr, Liam Palmer, Mark Beavers. We haven't done it. The only person we've done it with recently is Fizz, and he buggered off to Turkey.
Fizz wasn't in our academy.
Well, yeah, but he come through the academy. He was signed for the academy because he came from Man City's academy into the academy under Gary Monk.
Are you sure? Because I do remember him getting in first team football as soon as he came, pretty much.
I don't think but he didn't get it straight away, though, did he? He went straight back into the academy system. He wasn't first team all the time. And he'd been here since the Gary Monk days.
I'm not sure on that one, Jake. I might be wrong, but I am pretty sure when he was signed, it was with the view that he's going to be... No, he wasn't signed for the academy specifically. He was signed as a first teamer.
He never got the first team under, though, Gary Monk. He went straight into the academy. But the point still stands. We are still in this situation where we don't do well with the players. He played 8 times in that championship appearance, 2020, 2021. And then in League One, he did 24 and 33. But... the thing is, if we're going to sign players to the pro contracts in academy positions, we need to start finding a pathway to getting them into the first team. I am sick to death of them going, we've got this really lovely shiny youth player, and he gets to 21, 22, and he's not kicked on and he buggers off. And then we find out a couple of seasons later, he's 25 and he's banging them in at a certain club, and then we've missed out on him. If we're going to have anywhere, our academy should be the first place we look for in the transfer window, then the transfer market, if there's a player that's good enough.
Well, I think that's what actually is happening at the minute. But the fact is, it's also, I've got to question when they're given these options, that I will say a lot of these players that break through, they go for the money. Because I don't think they back their ability long term because they know the football game. I have not seen one player step up and think they can do it for this club. You know, because whenever they've been given the options, and yes, I'm looking at Shaw, like they go where the money is, and they go where they think they can filter through different academy systems and get loans to other clubs.
Talking to Shaw, he's just gone to Wigan on loan per season from Celtic.
I've not seen a player go, do you know what, I can do it for this club, and I'll make more money in another academy. There'll be better aspects, but I'll do it. Because I've not seen any of them take that risk. And I guess it's taking a risk with the career, but let's hope we can sort that one out, or just at least have a resolution at some point, because I'm sick of talking about this in terms of the academy. What's this going on with Luke?
Person could help.
What's going on with this Luke Dowling thing? Talk me through it. This is from Yorkshire Post.
So basically, Luke Dowling looks like he's going to be coming as our technical director. Apparently, he's agreed to come to the club. Nothing's been confirmed by the club yet. But basically, it's going to be the replacement for David Dow, really, in that sense, in time of the recruitment. Now, if you speak to people who have been at where he's been at West Brom, people have said, oh, we're glad to see the back of him. He's made some really stupid signings. And people have gone with that and gone, okay, he's the reason why they're a mess. No, West Brom are a mess before the person with the signing. So before we start going down that narrative, that club is just a mess anyway. But he worked at Watford, Blackburn Rovers, Portsmouth. He was at Forest for a season and then went to West Brom again. And this is one of these things where I think this is the right kind of way we go, because if he's a technical director, it means he's dealing with contracts, he's dealing with players, he's dealing with the youth academy. Something that we've just been talking about, we need someone to take a better grasp at, instead of just having a head of recruitment for the first team. If this happens, let's see what happens, because it's another place where Chansiri's letting some control go, which probably is probably a good thing to let someone else do more of this side of it on contract kind of thing. Because let's be honest, we have had issues with contracts in the past and we need to start improving it. So let's see what happens. But yeah, West Brom has said there were issues, but at the same time, West Brom was a mess. If it is a clean slate at Wednesday, if he comes in, see what he can do, and hopefully it'll help improve things behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's in terms of control, technical directors, there's a lot of different terminology in football. Obviously, you've got your sporting directors, you've got your so basically a technical director, do we think it is in the sporting director or director of football role? Do we think that's just different terminology? Or do we think it's because sometimes they overlap?
I'm not sure. If it is, it's a complete 180 by Chansiri. Because he has said in the past he don't like them, but he's sick of coming and say, I've worked with this before and I think I can do a better job with that. Maybe that's the case. We do need someone, because we haven't replaced David Downs yet.
Because it's almost like a technical director is usually like a CEO figure, which would be insane in terms of how massively different that is from Chansiri doing it all. And okay, we can talk about his history and talk about his West Brom career and things like that, but somebody coming in and actually running the club. Yeah. We'd have a technical director in terms of, if he's going to take more of a CEO role, and then we've got the COO. We've actually got a team that could manage the club, and then Chansiri just invests, or he. I actually think probably at the minute
in place.
I think it's probably the best foot forward for the club, to be honest.
Yeah.
If it changing that structure. And taking the pressure off, and I think it is probably beneficial for Chansiri. And so he got to get the right one. He's got to make sure it fits, and he's obviously he'd still have control over him, but he'd have to give up some of the the decision making sort of thing. He'd have to be a bit more trusting, but he'd remove himself directly from the firing line.
Yeah.
because somebody comes in and runs the club, and then it's backed financially by the owner.
Makes it a little bit easier for him.
Yeah. I think it's probably the best way to go. We'll keep you updated on this one as it develops. Let us know what you think about a change in structure at Wednesday. So this is from the 72, linking us with reports from Spain. Sorry, they don't give us specific reports from Spain. That's on... Oh, no. La Nueva España. We are linked with Paul Valentin. This is from the article. La Nueva España claims that Wednesday are interested in right-back Valentin, who currently plies his trade in Spain's second tier with Sporting Gijon. His deal runs until the end of the 2023-24 campaign, so a fee would be required to secure his services. The 26-year-old mainly plays as a right-back or a right wing-back, but he played as far forward as the right wing last season. Valentin featured 24 times for Gijon across all competitions, managing 2 assists in the process. Now, we have potentially gone from 1 right-back to 3 if this happens in the space of a few days. But again, it's that one that we always do, the FIFA card on here. He's a left-back on FIFA, 65 rated silver, 91 pace, Jake! Pace.
I know.
39 shooting, 56 passing, 65 dribbling, 57 defending, and 66 physical. That's all the virtual stuff. In terms of real life, though, if he is a fullback that can play across both sides, I'm going to look into that a little bit more. That could be useful, but another right back. What's your thoughts here?
Again, it goes back to work with Sicko before. It was the one where you look at it and you go, this makes a bit of sense again. Again, we're being linked with a lot of Spanish players. It's going to happen. This is the nature of the beast right now. If he's a player who's versatile, who can play on either side...
He can't play on either side. FIFA have got it wrong again. I think he's been put there, but it's like I'm looking at his general maps, and I've not seen him make too many left back appearances. But carry on.
Well, if he can play right back, then it means we've got more depth again. Does that mean we are actually looking at putting Liam Palmer in a central midfield role?
It does feel a bit more like that. Yeah.
It got to, because you wouldn't pick up 2 unless you're putting Palmer in that middle.
And Byers' injuries, we obviously hope he has an injury-free season, but we can't rely on that. So no. Palmer was probably, you fill out the fullback positions, and obviously Palmer can play left back. There is that. But it's also a case of, I don't see us signing midfielders at the minute, or linked with midfielders really. So do we just think we've got Bannon? Bannon's going to be heavily reliant this season for us. Is that what we're thinking? I wonder
if the midfield is going to get done halfway through August with a loan or something from the Prem when they've all figured out, or we may have a busy last day in the transfer market.
I'm not against the idea of a player like this coming in and Palmer moving into the midfield, to be honest, because Valentin's the good age, 26.
Yeah.
He's going into that prime era, and we're talking about players who we want for longevity. I think in terms of fees, he probably wouldn't be too much. I can see him being a 500k, if that, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't see us spending too much, especially with the Spanish second division sort of, there's not loads and loads of money that you could be expecting from the championship there. So I think it could be a good move. I think it could be strategic. I think, again, it's that Spanish link again. And if it works for us, and he's going to work really well with a new manager, just get the players in that are going to suit him in his system. I like the fact that he does play right back or right wing back as well, because that does make, because if he has gone forward it's all these players are linked with those players that can play right wing. You know, they can go up front, and we are playing with wingers again, and I'm quite excited about that. But
I'm going to say, I'm really excited about the prospect of actually using wingers again.
Yeah. It'll be nice to see the change we make, really. Because that's been a big thing we've been missing. But let us know what you think about Valentin in the comments. It wouldn't be fitting of us to talk about the academy in the concerning sense if we didn't mention that we have signed Seguera on a professional deal, and also we have signed Reed. So Sam Reed, who we were talking about, that was one. He's come from Brighouse Town, so he's joined our under 21. So we are making moves in that regard, Jake. So it would be it would be not balanced of us if we didn't mention that we are signing players there. We just don't want our better prospects. We want good prospects in, and we don't want to lose our better prospects to other academies. That was the point we were making.
Exactly.
Right, this next story is from the Examiner Live. I'm basically not going to read this article. I'm just going to take the fact we are linked with the player because a lot of the article literally says what we've already said in other stories. So, French winger Deji Gassama is another name that has cropped up. The newest name, who plays for PSG, is a French under-20 international. French outlet RMC claim that the Owls and Hull City are looking at the possibility of signing him.
Hull have actually already turned around and said that they are not interested in it, so it looks like it could be us now, which is interesting.
Okay, so young player, winger, 18 years old, PSG, little bit of a weird link. What are your thoughts on this?
If this did happen, I would like it because it's one of those players where at 18 you can then develop. If you're going to shove him in your first team, you develop him, you see what happens, and then maybe if he goes on to be good, it's a little bit like Dallas, but a risk again. But I think if you're going to do it, go for it. At least have a look at it, at least try it. If it pays off, it pays off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We had a French winger back in the day called Yolan Folly, who was really good, and was really good player. But I think we've got this thing where I think these kind of deals are going to be the names that crop up sometime because either we're desperate and we're looking at everything, or this is a new style of play the manager's playing, and it's someone who he's heard about who said this could be a really good player in the future, and I think we could use him now and utilise it now. And if that's the case, that helps on the further you go if he goes on to be really good. We have to start looking at like players like this. They might not be great, but we have to start looking in that kind of sense because you do get the one decent player out of a dozen naff ones. You've got a decent player there, and if they go on to be good, we have to start being a football club and doing this strange thing called selling players and making profit.
Well, he's not 18, he's 19. He's not proven. He did get some appearances last season. So when he went to Eupen, he did start making some appearances. So it's not like he's not trying to go out and get football. Do you think this would be a permanent or a loan? Because I feel like this would be
what I've heard is PSG wants him off the books.
Right. I mean, it's a way to come into England, isn't it?
Yeah.
And why couldn't it be with Wednesday? You know, coming through there, PSG have obviously had interest in him. He played in their B team. He made it into their first team. He's only made one appearance for their first team, but then he goes on loan. You know, he hasn't really had much of a shot there.
No.
Plays for the France under-20 setup. I think we take gambles like this. We should.
Yeah.
Because also somebody with a point to prove.
Chip on the shoulder.
It's one of them players that he could turn out to be absolutely garbage, Jake.
Yeah.
But one I'm willing to take a risk on. I'm going to kind of open this one up to everybody else. It's going to be a sort of a short topic, but should Sheffield Wednesday be taking risks on players like Jedi? Is it Jedi? Jidi? I can't pronounce things. Gassama. Should Wednesday be taking risks on players like Gassama? So 19-year-olds, not much experience, but coming from clubs such as Paris Saint-Germain. If Hull aren't going in for him, it might be worth a shout. He's not even got a FIFA card, Jake. We can't do our usual thing. Nope. He's in the game though. He's 62 rated. He'll have some potential, and he might be one of them players that develops into a forward. You know, he's a winger. He could play as a striker. He could. I don't know. I do want to see us taking a few more risks, so that'll be my vote on this.
Yeah.
Maybe less of a risk for the manager. Sheffield Wednesday haven't been linked But we'll link him like everyone else is linking him, because I checked at follows.
I checked as well.
When I just to double check that this wasn't somebody trying to wind it up. I can't believe this is how you genuinely have to cross-reference things now, Jake.
I know. I turned into myself the other day. I can't believe the way we check to make sure if we're signing a player that if the chairman's son is following.
Well, I'm actually quite good in the fact that I don't just watch his follows, but when this came across and somebody did this, I know some people try and like type the name and see somebody's been following for a while. But Ashley Fletcher has been followed by him this morning after, and it's one of his recent follows. So that's why it's sort of like this makes sense because he's played for Chisco.
Yes.
And we need a striker. So he's a 27-year-old striker who was basically out of favour at Watford. He was loaned to Wigan last season. 2 goals in 26 appearances, not very prolific, but he was loaned to New York Red Bulls the season before that. So Watford don't want him.
We have been linked with Ashley Fletcher in the past as well. A long time ago. Long time ago when he was at Middlesbrough. We were linked with him. And it was one back then. I was like, maybe we do it. If it's another player that Sisco worked with before and Sisco Ball works with him, and yes, he hasn't scored a lot of goals, but we don't have a very big, powerful forward, really, in our team, which he could definitely be and help. It all depends on how he plays him, kind of thing. If we're going with this one up top, is he going to be behind the striker? We need strikers. That's the be-all and end-all. We do need strikers. And if this is, again, someone he's worked with before and we're having to go down this route, I say see what happens, because, like I said, Watford don't want him. They want him off the books. And let's see if something happens. But the fact that he got followed this morning, I reckon this one could get announced either today or tomorrow.
Yeah. It's... I wouldn't mind to see this, because... I don't want it to be a long deal. It's one of them risks where it could just be a player who just comes and ends up picking up a wage.
Yeah.
Because Watford have always been pushing to get out of the league, right? You know, they've always been that team, so they didn't see him as that. He didn't pull up any...
a lot of players as well.
He didn't pull up any trees at Wigan. Don't get me wrong. But he's not a bad age, and we need forwards. And again, I feel like I'm repeating myself so much today, but... He's worked with the manager, hasn't he? He has, yes.
Yeah, he has. Yes.
Yeah.
He worked with him when they were in the Premier League, so it wouldn't have been long, but he have worked with him.
We need forwards, Jake. We need younger forwards. Yeah. He's 27. He could be somebody who just finds that it works. You know? He could end up... We talk about the consistency of our finishing, right? And our clinical nature is not there. What if he all of a sudden clicks into place, and he is the missing piece of all these crosses that come in and the way it works round, and he is somebody that we can develop. When I look at players that are worth taking a punt on, if we can get him, if it's a loan as well, Jake, if Watford aren't, because he's still in contract, I potentially wouldn't say we go in for a fee for him, but maybe a loan to buy, or if it's the last year of his deal or something, we go in for a loan for Fletcher. This could be a good bit of business, in my opinion.
It would be very smart if we could pull it off and just have him in for a season just to see what happens, because you never know. Under Sisco obviously saw something he liked with him, or he wouldn't have wanted him at Watford.
Yeah, It's a position we need to fill. Let's look at his FIFA card. 69 rated silver. There we go. Better FIFA player for you guys who are obsessed with that, like me. 73 pace, 68 shooting, 45 passing, 66 dribbling, 29 defending, 69 physical. Great career mode player there. So on that basis, yes, let's do that. Let's sign Ashley Fletcher. Let us know what you think about him in the comments. Right, I'm going to add one in, Jake, because I've just, as I always do, I do keep an eye on the news as it's going, and Football League World are linking us. I'm going to throw this one out with you. We are apparently linked in being interested in joining the race for Tom Cannon.
Yes.
So, basically, Sunderland, Preston.
It was at Preston last season.
Yes.
We were linked with him in January, right? So basically, this is what I know. We were linked with him in January, and the reason he didn't come in because Championship club Preston came knocking and they got him. I think he got 8 goals in like 20 appearances, right?
Yeah,
21. Really good conversion rate, that considering he was only in there from January. Now, I think if we can get a deal for him, this will be a really good loan. Bear in mind, they have just signed Preston on a permanent Leighton Stewart from Liverpool on a permanent deal. So they've already got players in. If we can actually get a good deal and a loan for him, I think, say you go, yeah, let's go for it. Now, the caveat is he was seen at Preston North End's game versus Aberdeen at the weekend, but that doesn't mean that a deal's done and dusted. It means that he's been there to
I think he's going to Preston.
I do.
Out of all the choices, right, Blackburn are in for him as well. I think we're third, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Because in this position, you go to Sunderland or you probably go to Preston. But I think we should be incentivising for a loan move. We should be going hell for leather for this one. Because we talk about players that need to finish their dinner. I think he needs. We need a player like that. That player could be the difference between us having a decent season. And if we signed a player like that on a loan, I would breathe.
Yeah,
I think at the minute I'm holding my breath and I'm nervous, but I think I would breathe a little bit better and relax a little bit better if we signed a player like that. Because I'm looking at his estimated market value. He's like estimated to be a £5 million player at 20. He's got a future ahead of him, and I think I look at Everton and I'd want to send him to Sunderland or Wednesday for the fan expectation behind and the size of the stadium, and when it's. I think we've got the good sort of story on our side from last season, which will play well in short term memories sort of thing. So. I just want to capitalise on that if we've got any of that left. But yeah, as you said, 20 appearances in the Championship, 8 goals last season.
It's a cracking return.
Yeah. In Premier League 2, which is obviously his youth system at Everton, 11 appearances, 7 goals last season. He scored 5 in the EFL Trophy as well. So he scored 20 goals last season overall, and 8 of them were in the Championship. So it makes sense. Tom Cannon should be our top priority, but I do feel like if he's got some affinity with those Preston fans, Preston are a well-run club as well, and they've been very solid and consistent recently. I can't see why he probably wouldn't go there. And then obviously Sunderland have done really well last season. So it's going to be rough for Wednesday. Watching go to Blackburn, as I've said, but I would be going hell for leather for him, but I can't see him being a Sheffield Wednesday player. But Tom Cannon
happened.
It doesn't usually happen to Wednesday in that way, though, does it? It's
no, it doesn't. But sometimes the player wants to go to said club, and sometimes the club say, "Right, yeah, you did well there last season, but let's put you in a different scenario. Can you do it in this kind of scenario?" It all depends on what Everton want him to do. They might just turn around and say, "Yeah, you had fun there last season. Off you go. See you. Improve and come back to us." And he's obviously done that. The thing is, again, it's an all these things that we were in for him in January, so we've already done all the legwork. The fact that he did so well is annoying considering we were in for him in January.
Yeah. He's such a young player as well. He doesn't even have a FIFA card. We can't even do that bit. He's 62 rated with a potential of 76 in the career last season. So I reckon he'll be getting a pretty decent card after his loan spell at Preston. But try and sign him Wednesday. I'm not holding my breath for that one. Let us know what you think about Cannon in the comments if it could happen. But yes, Jake, that's been a long one today. Lots of transfer stories to talk about. Not too much depth because it's a lot of surface links. There's not really been much meat on the bone. Do you know what I mean? So it's hopefully we'll have a little bit more to, because I feel like some of the topics, it's sort of like, well, we can talk about the possibility of them and where we think they fit. But usually I feel like with transfer stories, there's more meat to bite into. Do you know what I mean?
It's all very heavily speculated at the minute. But again, if you actually look at what happened with Darren Moore, look what happened with Sisco, we're actually keeping things a lot tighter in terms of what coming out the club, which is something we're kind of not used to. Like it was only the night before when everything broke with Del Galgo. I butchered that. But it only broke the night before, and then the next day it was all done.
You'll start calling him Elgato in a minute.
Juan. There we go, Juan. Juan. But the thing is, we are keeping things very close to our chest at the minute as a club. And I think we may see more of this. But if we can, by next week, we need at least another 3 players in the door.
Yeah. That's a tall order. We'll see if it happens. But yes, that is all I've got for this week's episode of Talking Wednesday. Have I asked you if you got anything to add? Was that bit? Because my brain's going now.
That can be it, because your brain's shutting down.
My brain is shutting down, yes. I don't know why. I'm rested. Interesting. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Talking Wednesday. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See ya.